Today we're going to learn how to represent fractions as a sum of unit fractions, all with the same denominator. You'll be able to do this when you can identify numerators and denominators, and show fractions as repeated addition sentences using unit fractions. And anytime that we're working today, you should be thinking about the sentence, the fraction can be broken into the parts. So, let's get to it. Here we have a whole number. This is a whole number 1 in red. And below it, we have it broken into pieces. And if we look, we're still missing one piece. So in green, we do not have a whole. So how can we write this fraction? Well, I see that 5 pieces will make up a complete whole. So if I'm doing this, I would say I have the fraction 5 as my denominator, the number of pieces that would make a whole. And of those 5 pieces, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 fifths. But if we look at this a little bit more closely, we can see that we actually have 4 pieces. Right? We actually have 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 is equal to 4 fifths. And the reason why I can do this is I haven't changed the shape of these. I haven't changed how much would make a whole. I'm just saying, okay, here's one part, here's another part, here's another part, and here's another part. There we go. Okay. Perfect. Now, let's see if we can think about this with a different problem. So here again, I have a whole number. Now, I want you to look at this. How many pieces make a whole? How many pieces do we have? So if we look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces make a whole. So I have 6 pieces as my denominator. 6 pieces make my whole. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces filled in. Now, if I really think about this, right, I can see that, well, I'm just saying that I have 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6. Because I have all of these parts, and when I put them together, when I combine them, I will get 5/6. Okay. So we're going to try to make this a little bit more challenging then. So if we go back, we think about this. What happens if I do something, say, like this? What do I have? Well, I still have fifths, right? That's still the pieces that I have, but now I have greater than a whole. So if I'm thinking about this, I'm doing 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5, because I'm trying to combine all these fractions. I'm trying to combine them up to find a total that I have. and I haven't changed how many pieces make a whole, it's still 5 pieces make a whole, right? I still have the denominator 5 because that's how many pieces make a whole. But the number that I have, my numerator, is now 8. Because I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. Now, how many do I have if I am counting a whole and then my pieces? Well, let's think about this. So, I can combine 5 of my pieces to be one whole, and then I would have 1, 2, 3 fifths, right? So another way to have written this, instead of a fraction greater than a whole, is a mixed number, where I have a whole number and my fraction, where I have my one whole and then 1, 2, 3 fifths. Let's see if we can see that another way. Let's say we have something like this. Now, if we remember, so this means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces make a whole, right? So 6 pieces make a whole. That's my denominator. And I'm counting how many pieces I have, my numerator. So I'm counting 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6. If I count them all, I can see that I have 9/6. And I can write this as 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6, right? And I keep going because I'm just combining all of my smallest pieces together. Now, how would I write this as a mixed number? Because this is my fraction greater than a whole. How would I write this as a mixed number? Well, as a mixed number, I can see that I can take 6 of my pieces as of my unit fractions, because each piece is a unit. I can see that, and I can see that I'll have one whole, and then 1, 2, 3 sixths. Okay, so I used a word, unit fraction, right? And if we think about that, a unit fraction was a smallest piece of our fraction. So can you think of an example that we have seen that would be a unit fraction? Well, if I'm thinking here, right, I can even see that I have 1/10 over here. So 10 pieces make a whole, and just one of them would be 1/10. Or let's think about our fractions that we were using before. We were using 1/5 and 1/6. So what would be something that's not a unit fraction? Well, we have a lot of examples over here, right? So 3/10 would be not a unit fraction. These are all the pieces. These are 3 unit fractions put together. Or even think about our first example, 5/6, which has 5 pieces, 5 unit fractions put together. Or even let's think about our fraction greater than a whole. We have more than one of our smallest pieces. So, what would be a good definition? Well, a good definition might be a smallest one piece of a whole, right? One piece of our denominator, right? And a characteristic. Well, a good characteristic to talk about may be pieces, the smallest pieces for a fraction, right? So 1 is always in the denominator, in the numerator. Oops. This is why I didn't write over here in the numerator. Let's see if writing with my finger helps. A little bit, but now it's so large. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to move on to our activities.